the 360 deal, a phrase whispered in studios, feared by artists, and quietly defended by the biggest corporations in entertainment. They signed for fame and lost everything they earned. He made millions by 25, but the label owned his life. In the next minutes, you'll uncover how one contract, the 360 deal, changed music forever. Subscribe and stay till the end for a truth that will change how you hear your favorite songs. To understand how it became the industry's most controversial contract, we have to go back to the beginning of modern music commerce, when the artist's dream of fame was first turned into a business. Long before streaming, viral fame, or TikTok hits, music was a physical product, vinyl, tape, or CD, and whoever controlled distribution controlled the artist. In the early 20th century, companies like Columbia Records, RCA Victor, and later Capitol Records discovered that talent was only half the equation. The other half was ownership. Labels paid for studio time, producers, distribution, and marketing. In exchange, they owned the masters, the original recordings. Artists, thrilled to be signed, rarely questioned what that meant. By the 1950s, as Elvis Presley and Little Richard electrified America, record labels perfected their system of control. A young artist would sign an exclusive recording contract, often giving away lifelong rights for a modest advance. The money seemed life-changing until the deductions came. Studio fees, promotion, and travel. Everything was billed back to the artist. Behind the glamour of fame was a grim reality. Many musicians earned less than factory workers, even as their songs topped charts. The industry called it standard practice. Artists called it a trap. By the 1970s, the label system had become an empire. Artists like Fleetwood Mac, David Bowie, and the Rolling Stones generated millions for their labels. Yet even legends had little control over how their music was used. When Prince famously wrote "Slave" on his cheek in 1993, it wasn't a metaphor. Warner Brothers owned his masters and dictated his releases. He couldn't even issue music under his own name. His rebellion made headlines, but few realized how deeply the system was entrenched. Everything changed in the early 2000s. The internet shattered the old business model. When Napster launched in 1999, fans began downloading music for free. Global record sales plummeted. Between 2000 and 2009, industry revenues dropped by more than 50%. Major labels, once untouchable, were desperate. To survive, they needed new income streams. CDs weren't selling. Streaming didn't yet pay. But artists were still touring, selling merch, and landing sponsorships. That's when executives had an idea. If labels were investing in an artist's career, they should share in everything the artist earned. Thus, the 360 deal was born. The first widely publicized example was Paramore's 2005 deal with Atlantic Records, followed by similar agreements at Warner, Universal, and Sony. The model was simple. Instead of earning only from album sales, the label would take a percentage, often 10 to 30%, from every revenue stream: touring, merchandise, endorsements, sponsorships, even acting roles or YouTube income. At first, the idea seemed logical, a new kind of partnership in a collapsing market. But the reality was far darker. Artists lost autonomy not just over their music, but over their entire careers. Behind every hit single, the financial equation shifted. The more an artist succeeded, the more the label collected. Even independent touring, once a safe haven from label control, became part of the system. The 360 deal wasn't just a contract. It was a full takeover. As the 360 model spread, backlash erupted. Rappers, pop stars, and rock icons began realizing the true cost of success. Kesha's legal battle with producer Dr. Luke and Sony Music revealed how control extended beyond music into personal and creative freedom. Taylor Swift, after losing ownership of her masters to Big Machine Records, re-recorded her albums from scratch, releasing Fearless, Taylor's version, in 2021. It wasn't just business. It was a declaration of independence. "I don't own my past," she said. So I'm taking it back. Her stand inspired a generation. From Billie Eilish to Chance the Rapper, to demand fairer deals or to go independent entirely. But independence came at a cost. Without label funding, artists had to self-finance tours, marketing, and promotion. Platforms like YouTube, SoundCloud, and later TikTok helped level the playing field, but success now required relentless self-management and strategy. Artists began forming their own labels. Jay-Z with Rock Nation, Dr. Dre with Aftermath, Kanye West with Good Music. These ventures marked a turning point, artists reclaiming the business side of their art, but even they couldn't fully escape the corporate networks. Controlling global distribution, the industry adapted. Labels disguised 360 clauses under new names, partnership agreements, brand participation, integrated rights. Different words, same meaning. Control remained intact. By the 2010s, the 360 deal had become the industry standard. Even artists outside major labels found similar clauses buried in publishing or distribution contracts. Here's how it worked. Advance, a lump sum upfront payment, but fully recoupable. Royalties, a small percentage, 10 to 15% after the advance is repaid. Cross-collateralization, income from tours or merch could be used to repay recording costs. Exclusivity, the label owns all recordings made during the contract term, even unreleased ones. In short, the artist works, the label profits, indefinitely. This structure became so normalized that many newcomers didn't realize they were signing away decades of earnings. Managers and lawyers warned them, but the promise of exposure, of fame, was irresistible. Behind Grammy red carpets, countless rising stars lived under immense financial strain. One viral artist admitted, "My song has 100 million streams, and I still can't pay my bills." The 360 deal didn't just affect artists. It reshaped entire genres. Labels began prioritizing acts that could monetize across platforms, charismatic, brandable, algorithm-friendly. Music started sounding more streamable, optimized for clicks, not creativity. The result? Fewer risks, fewer revolutions, more predictability. Creativity was measured in metrics. Behind the charts, mental health crises surged. The pressure to produce, perform, and promote nonstop, while earning less, took a brutal toll. From Amy Winehouse to Avicii, artists became symbols of a broken system that prized profit over people. The 360 deal had achieved its purpose. Labels survived, but the soul of music paid the price. Today, the music landscape is shifting again. Artists have new tools, NFTs, independent distribution, and fan-funded models that bypass traditional gatekeepers. Platforms like Bandcamp, Patreon, and DistroKid offer creative freedom, while AI and social media amplify reach. But the battle isn't over. Labels now rebrand old tactics as joint ventures or label services. Even as artists gain power online, the lure of global marketing keeps them tethered to the same machinery. The question is no longer just about money. It's about freedom, ownership, and truth. Who really controls the soundtracks of our lives? The story of the 360 deal isn't just about contracts. It's about culture. It's about how power, art, and ambition collided in the digital age. Some artists broke free. Others were broken by the system. But every rebellion, every voice, every song moved the industry closer to transparency. So next time you stream your favorite track, ask yourself, who's really getting paid, the artist or the system behind them? If you learn this, hit like. It tells YouTube to show this story to others. Subscribe and hit bell. New music documentary Tuesday, Thursday. Watch next shocking story on our channel.